Your dog chose you, not you choosing them from a shelter or a breeder. Them choosing humans, tens of thousands of years before you were born. And understanding exactly how that happened will permanently change the way you see the animals sleeping near you right now. 30,000 years ago, there were no dogs on Earth, not a single one. There were wolves. Dangerous, intelligent, pack-hunting wolves with jaws powerful enough to crush bone, endurance that outlasted almost every prey animal alive, and senses so sharp they could smell a single drop of blood from over a mile away. And there were humans, small, slow, largely defenseless after dark. These two species should never have become friends. And yet, today, there are over 900 million dogs on Earth. They sleep in our beds. They detect cancer. They pull people out of avalanches. They sit beside children in hospitals. They wear tiny birthday hats next to cakes. How did the most feared predator in the ancient world become that? The answer is stranger than most people realize, and it starts not with humans at all. Here is what most people get wrong about domestication. They imagine ancient humans deciding to tame wolves, deliberately, intentionally, like a project. That is not what happened. Dogs were not invented. They were not planned. They were not tamed by force or captured as puppies and trained into submission. Dogs chose to happen. Around 20,000 to 40,000 years ago, hunter-gatherer humans moved constantly across massive landscapes, groups of maybe 20 to 50 people, always moving, always leaving behind something wolves found irresistible: scraps, bones, half-eaten carcasses, the messy, calorie-rich leftovers of human meals. For a wolf, a human camp was essentially a restaurant that moved itself to a new location every few days. The problem was getting close enough to eat without getting speared. Most wolves couldn't do it. The aggressive ones lunged. They got killed. The terrified ones fled. They starved. But somewhere in those ancient wolf populations, a small number of individuals were simply born different, less reactive, less fearful, more curious than afraid. Those wolves crept closer. Those wolves ate better. Those wolves survived longer. Those wolves had more offspring. And generation by generation, without any human planning it at all, wolf populations near human camps slowly began shifting, calmer, bolder in a quiet way, more comfortable with the smell of people and fire. Evolution was filtering wolves by personality, and nobody noticed. Now, here is where it gets genuinely strange. In 1959, a Soviet geneticist named Dmitry Belyaev decided to watch domestication happen in real time. He chose silver foxes, wild, aggressive, deeply uncomfortable around humans. His method was almost insultingly simple. Every generation, he selected only the calmest foxes for breeding. That is all. No training, no conditioning, no teaching them anything. Just selecting the least reactive individuals and letting them reproduce. Within a handful of generations, something remarkable happened. The foxes started wagging their tails. They started whining for human attention. They started licking hands. But then something happened that nobody fully expected. Their bodies changed. Floppy ears appeared. Shorter snouts, patchy white fur, curled tails. Nobody bred them for those features. They emerged automatically, as if calmness and physical softness were somehow linked at a biological level. Scientists now believe this is exactly what happened to ancient wolves near human camps. As aggression faded across generations, appearance softened too. The proto-dogs began looking less like wolves and more like something new, something that felt safer to be near, something that almost looked like it wanted to be close to you. And humans noticed. But here is what the history books leave out entirely. The physical changes were remarkable. The behavioral changes were fascinating. But neither of those is the most extraordinary thing that happened between humans and dogs. What happened next went deeper than behavior.
It went all the way down to chemistry.
When you look into your dog's eyes, something happens inside your body. Oxytocin releases, the same neurochemical involved in the bond between a mother and her newborn child, the same hormone that makes humans feel safe, connected, and loved. Your dog experiences the same thing looking back at you. Wolves do not do this with humans. This is not a general animal behavior. This is specific. This is something that evolved uniquely between dogs and people over thousands of years of living alongside each other. Your dog is not just happy to see you. Their brain is chemically bonding with yours every time you make eye contact. And it goes further. Dogs evolved facial muscles that wolves do not have. Specifically, the muscles that create that expression. Eyebrows raised slightly inward, eyes wide and soft, the look that humans instinctively read as emotional and vulnerable. Puppy dog eyes are not accidental cuteness. They are the result of thousands of years of dogs learning at a biological level that humans respond to emotional expression. The dogs that looked more expressive were cared for more, fed more, survived more, and passed those facial muscles on. Your dog learned to speak to your emotions before language existed. Think about what that means. In Germany, archaeologists uncovered a burial site dating back approximately 14,000 years. Inside were 3 bodies: a man, a woman, and a dog. The dog had been placed carefully beside them, not discarded, not buried separately, placed with intention. But the detail that stops people cold is this. Analysis of the dog's bones showed it had suffered a severe illness as a young animal, an illness that would have required weeks, possibly months of human care to survive. These were Ice Age humans, people living on the edge of starvation, people for whom every calorie mattered, people surrounded by cold and predators and constant uncertainty. And they spent their food, their time, and their energy keeping a sick dog alive, not because it was useful in that moment, not because it was making them safer or helping them hunt, simply because they could not let it go. That is not utility. That is love. And it was happening 14,000 years ago. Here's something worth sitting with. Every behavior your dog has that seems strange or instinctive, circling before lying down, burying food, twitching during sleep, howling at distant sounds, those are not random quirks. Those are the wolf, still there, still surfacing, tens of thousands of years later. Inside every dog alive today, from the tiniest Chihuahua to the largest Great Dane, lives the shadow of an Ice Age predator who made the most unlikely decision in the history of the animal kingdom: to trust us. Not because we were the strongest species, not because we offered the most, but because somewhere in the genetic lottery of ancient wolf populations, a few individuals were born with slightly less fear, and that small biological accident, those few wolves creeping closer to a fire, eventually became every dog who has ever rested their head on a human lap, every dog who has ever waited by a door, every dog who has ever followed their person from room to room for no reason except that being near them felt right. Your dog did not come from a shelter or a breeder, ultimately. They came from a campfire, from thousands of years of choosing to be near us, from an unbroken chain of loyalty stretching back further than written language, further than cities, further than farming itself. And tonight, without knowing any of this, your dog is going to find a spot somewhere near you and fall asleep, because that is what they have always done. If this changed how you see your dog even slightly, that quiet moment of realizing what they actually are and where they actually came from, that is exactly what canine theory exists for. Not tricks, not commands, not quick fixes. Real science, real history, real understanding of the animal that chose to walk beside us. Subscribe if you want to keep seeing your dog differently, and share this with someone's dog deserves an owner who knows this story.